Hey Gold Medal family, and welcome to today's lesson. Today I thought for the video we would do a stretch video, which is a really good one. So it's not going to be like a Tai Chi kind of flowing stretching or yoga type of video. We're going to do some hard like Taekwondo stretching, but we're going to still do, we're going to take more of a scientific approach with it. Meaning there's a rhyme and reason for stretching. Now sadly in the Taekwondo class we don't really have a whole lot of time to do effective stretching. So one, because it's not very glamorous. Remember, stretching is the #1 missed aspect of all sports. And for injuries, sport-related injuries, a good portion of them probably could have been avoided had the athlete practiced and done more stretching. And not just before an event, I mean regularly. A good routine of hard stretching twice a week, mixed in with some light warm-up stretching, 2 or 3 times a week, will give you the benefit of flexibility. So with that said, we're going to go into a good approach on how to perform it right. A good proper stretching routine is probably going to run you about 30 to 35 minutes for effective warm-up. So we're going to go ahead and start into this and talking about some different aspects of stretching. Okay, so when you start a stretch routine here, there's 3 aspects of stretching that you can do. One is static stretching, the other one is isometric stretching, and then the last one is dynamic stretching. Static stretching is when you get in the stretch position and hold it for a certain amount of time. There's some speculation and debate on how long you should hold a stretch. It can be anywhere between 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half. It really depends on the individual, I feel. If you feel like you're getting a good stretch and you've held it long enough, then switch to another stretch there. So that way you can effectively move forward in a progressive stretching routine. Static stretching is kind of like, it's in between. It's kind of like isometric stretching where you're holding a little bit, but there's also a little bit of a dynamic element to it, or there could be resistance added into the stretch, which makes it unique in its own aspect. So static stretching could be started out like an isometric stretch where I would get into, let's say, a lunge stretch and hold it, but I might do a little bit of bouncing into that, or I might push my weight back forward and then move forward again. Not fast, I'm not doing anything explosive. I'm just adding movement to my stretch. So even sometimes a little bit of a bounce, depending on the stretch, or depending on what stretch you're doing. And then the last aspect is your dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching is explosive, but there's no holding involved in it at all. So today we're going to focus on static stretches. I may do a video again later on, which I think I will. That'll be a good topic on static and dynamic stretching. Sorry, just lost my train of thought there. So today we're going to focus on the isometric stretching. Sorry if I said static stretching, or I meant isometric stretching. So we're going to be doing the holding. Now, in order for you to achieve flexibility, it's not that you are elongating the muscle fibers. That does happen. Okay, so just to kind of break it down for you, whenever you stretch, your muscle fibers are going to pull apart and they're going to get little micro tears in there. And then overnight or over a couple of days, that's where you feel the soreness. But over those 2 days, the muscles start repairing. So as they repair, they will elongate a little bit. So that's how you gain the flexibility. However, in order for you to stretch the muscles apart, what you really need is not flexibility, you need strength. And that's what the isometric style of stretching is really good for. It's for to help build strength. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So when you're going to start your your stretching routine, sorry, I keep saying static for you guys. When you start your stretching routine, you can always do some type of light, and it's actually really good to always do some type of light cardiovascular activity, something to just get the blood pumping, warm up, right? If you're jump roping or jogging, or you're doing some little hops and skips or something like that, kind of warm the muscles up a little bit before you get into a heavy stretch routine. That way they're not cold when you go to do the stretching, and they're gonna flex a lot better for you. And it's not gonna be so painful. That's the biggest aspect there, or that's the number one key there of why stretching is so neglected, because it hurts. But here's the good news for you. The more you stretch, the stronger you get, the less it's gonna hurt. And eventually over time, it doesn't hurt hardly at all. And that's the point you wanna get to. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. Start out with our normal routine of swinging those arms forward. We're gonna start from the top and then work our way down, going backwards. These here, you could actually do it for a time limit as well. And in class, we only do maybe 10 or 12 of these. I would do each one of these sections here for about 30 seconds each one. All right, we're not gonna do that right now, but you can still follow along with me. So when you add into your stretch routine later on at home, you can add that 30 seconds in there. So this is somewhat of a warm-up style. Hopefully my mic's not scratching anywhere on you guys. But this is somewhat of a warm-up style for stretching. Warming up, kind of dynamic a little bit, but we're not really pulling any muscles yet. Okay, just turn it. Don't forget to turn and pivot these feet here. You want to take the pressure off of your knees as you're spinning. Okay, hands on the hips. All these stretches are going to be very familiar to you in class. Okay, because we've done, you've seen them and we've done them in class a few times. And go back the other way. And pushing forward. Now, where you want to stretch in this area here is the abdomen down to the hip flexors, maybe even a little bit of the top part of your quads. At the same time, you're stretching and leaning back and looking. And then now we go down to the front. Now, I'm wearing my socks. Here's another kind of secret sauce tip for you. I like to wear my socks on the mat, or if I'm on a good firm hard carpet, or maybe something kind of plushy, because the socks are not going to give me any traction, so my legs and my feet are going to be able to slide, thus giving me a longer stretch, which is very, very important for you. Okay, back. So a little tip for you there. And down to the front. However, if you have good flexibility, you may not need the socks at all. Back again, and down to the front. And feet together. Well, sorry about that. I just realized that my iPad ran out of storage while I was recording. So I did the entire stretch routine, which was like, I don't know, I think 40 minutes of everything from the quick warm up here to the end, to realize I didn't record any of it. So now I got to do it all over again. So I'm a little disappointed and frustrated on that, because it was a really good routine that we did, and I'm kind of sore from it now, and now I have to do it all over again to put it on the video for you guys, because it's important that I wanted to do this one and get this video out first over the other ones, which is the static and the dynamic stretching, because this one is a little bit more definitive for you on developing the flexibility. So I think we left off somewhere around here on the knees, pushing forward. Okay, I'll bring this down here, bend it down a little bit. Well, I do feel a little more flexible even just going here on the second run, because I did the previous stretch routine earlier. The joys of doing videos, huh? Okay, down again. And up. Okay, now, I will be able to mention this earlier now. There is a science with the breathing and stretching for you. So you're going to inhale before you do the stretch, and then slowly exhale for most of the duration of the stretch. And the purpose of that is, as you're slowly exhaling, it helps your muscles and your body to relax a lot better and easier, so that they can stretch farther, and it does kind of help take away some of the pain for you. So again, that's why the most neglected phase of all sports and athletics is stretching, mostly because it hurts. And it doesn't hurt in a good way, like when you're sore after a hard workout or you're getting sore during weight training or something like that. It hurts in a painful way because you just tore all your muscles, right? So separate these feet here, lean that forward a little bit. You'll feel, or you'll hear me doing the breathing in and out. Okay, back down again. And I think I already did this one, but I was sitting down for a little bit before I was trying to rest a little before I came back in to do the second wave of stretching here. So I was starting to get a little bit tensed and sore, so I'm kind of redoing some of those there. All right, now, okay, so then we're gonna come over here to the wall to work on stretching on the calves here. So what you wanna do is, there's two ways you can stretch your calf muscles up. One, I'm gonna take the ball of my foot, press it right up against the wall while my heel still remains on the floor. Keep this knee straight, and I'm gonna use my hips to push the hips forward. Not necessarily my face, so it doesn't matter if my face gets close to the wall. I wanna push my hips forward on this one. So I can really feel that stretching in my calf there. And then you relax it a little bit. Inhale. Now all I'm doing to push forward is, again, I'm leaning my hips forward, but I'm also rising up on the ball of my foot, picking my heel off of the ground, picking my heel up off of the ground on my right leg. And down. Switch legs. The higher and the more you ball your foot you can get on the wall here with that heel still being able to be on the ground, the better. Of course, it might be really tight for you already, so you're only able to get maybe just the tips of your toes or the toes on the mat. I mean on the wall, I'm sorry. That's fine. Eventually we're going to work into being able to get that flexibility. So again, I'm kind of warmed up, so I'm actually able to stretch a little bit better right now. So inhale and exhale. Leaning forward. Again, inhale and exhale. Now the second way is I'm going to take my left foot and put it way back, put the hands against the wall here, foot close to the wall here, like a lunge stretch, like I'm going to push my wall over. Just boom, knock it over, right? Although I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do here is keep this heel, my left heel, flat on the floor, and I'm going to kind of do a lunge here with this leg like that, and I'm leaning forward. I actually feel a little bit of a stretch here in my hip flexor, which is kind of good. But I want to make sure that I am pressing that heel back. You have to forcefully do that move or that small little position during the stretch. Otherwise, you're going to get this as you lean forward, and it's not going to stretch your calf. You're going to lift that heel up, which you don't want to do. Press. I have to forcefully press that heel down as I lean forward. Okay, other leg. Big inhale and relax, straighten up and down. All right. I could do a third one if I wanted to. Well, you can if you want to. We're going to move right into the next stretch here. Okay, so now that we stretch the calf, we're going to go ahead and drop down to our knees to stretch the opposite side of our leg there, which is going to be the shin. A little bit in the shin and the ankle. Now, something I just noticed right now, which was quite interesting. The pain or the tension on my calf area doing this stretch here a second time, it was in a different spot than it was the first time because now it's warmed up. So I'm actually able to stretch in other muscle areas that were previously probably a lot tighter since the initial area from the first stretch has loosened up those muscle groups. I'm able to stretch in the other ones that still remain tight. So I thought that was kind of interesting here and the science behind stretching. Okay, so all you're gonna do, for some of you guys, this is easy enough. This is just your max of where you're gonna stretch on the shins here. I'm just sitting down on the insteps of my feet and my ankles. For some people, this is extremely difficult. They don't have the ability to do it because the shin is so tight, and maybe even a little bit of the quad and the knee are kind of tight. So go up a little bit here. You see I'm kind of like on the knuckle line of my foot right now. I got space, pretty big space and gap right there. If this is your max of where you can sit, then sit there. Sit for a little bit, and then you're gonna straighten the knees up so that you don't totally lose the circulation in between, you know, in your quad and calf and shin area there. Then you're gonna sit back down. Now for me, I would be here. Flat, no space between me and the mat, which is gonna make it better flexation for roundhouse kicking, front kicks, axe kicks, any kick where you're gonna flex and point that foot up. This is a really good stretch for that. And then I straighten it up again, and then I sit back. Okay, now if this is extremely easy and you're not getting anything from this, then what you're gonna do, without letting your knees widen out, you're just gonna kind of lean back here a little bit and kind of lift the knees up just a little bit. See, oh yeah, I feel that right in my ankle. It's good stretching there for my ankle. I always have pretty flexible shins. My ankles, as I'm getting older, are starting to tighten up a little bit on me. And then relax, I come up, breathe in, and out. Again, it's very important here. Now, I'm not trying to lay all the way back. If you can do that, good for you, you're Gumby. Most of us out there are not. But again, I'm just holding here a little bit, not trying to really pull way back or put too much tension on my ankle and my shins. Exhaling as I'm going out. And one more time back. Lift them knees up just a little bit. And down. Okay. Since we're down here on the ground, we're going to go ahead right into the sitting warm-up drills here for stretching. Sitting up nice and straight. So anytime you're sitting, here's the key points that you're going to sit for stretches. The key points that you want to make sure that you hit. Posture. See, this is bad. I'm going to sit up nice and straight. So it's forcing me to use my core strength in order to do this. Posture and proper technique of the stretch. Not losing the straightness of my back as I'm doing stretches. So we're going to take that left leg, pull it up over, and I'm rolling the ankle. Nice and easy. The reason I'm rolling the ankle is because that's the one we just kind of did the stretching on. If you're able to kind of lean back a little bit. And then reverse that circle. Hana, dual, sat, nat, dasa, yasa, yugo, yudo. Now from here, I'm going to take and push down. This is my left leg, left hand. I like to pull my foot up a little bit more on the thigh. And I'm going to push that knee down. Just slightly, not trying to get it to the ground. If you can, good. And if you can do it without rolling your weight all the way over. That's the key thing. So again, the technique, posture, technique. Those are the important keys behind proper stretching. Okay, now I'm going to take this leg and put it flat on the floor, which is my left foot down, left knee up. I'm going to take my right arm on the other side and twist. This is a little bit of a back stretch here, but I also want to try to pull this leg over so that I'm stretching somewhat on the back of my glute, which is off to the side a little bit, gluteus minimus areas. Gluteus minimus areas. I'm just talking all my Latin right now, huh? Hopefully I'm not scratching my mic too much for you guys. Okay, down, push that knee down again. And switch legs. And roll it forward. And back. Hana, dual, set, net, dasa, yasa, yugo, yudo. I hope you'll push down on that knee here. And down. I want my right foot flat. Now I am rolling over to my side to make sure I put that foot flat on the floor. And I'm going to bring my weight back here, but I make sure that this foot remains flat on the floor. Left arm over this time and twist it. All right. And 100% honesty, all honesty for me on that. Now that daddy's got a little bit of a pouch here, that stretch is a lot harder than what it used to be for me. When I didn't have this in the way, I was able to really stretch a lot farther and reach behind my leg a lot better. But you're gonna have to work on that, right? Me anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna slide my feet in, grab deep below them. I wanna grab, well past my toes and the ball of my feet, and slide them up. Again, a lot easier this time around from earlier. Just stretching that lower back. Now, if you are stretching the lower back for all the stretches that we're doing, your sleeping position has a lot to do with the tension in your back here. Okay, if you are a stomach sleeper, you're going to find that you have a lot of tension, stiffness in that lower back. I am just a stomach sleeper by natural habit. Best sleeping position is going to be on your back. But even if I start on my back, I roll over to my stomach constantly because I've slept that way for so many years. And it causes me to be stiff in my lower back. Relax, kick the legs out. If you're a side sleeper, so let's say I'm sleeping on my right side, I'm going to find that you should find that that left side is going to be a little bit more tense than the right side. Reason for that is, as I'm sleeping on one side, there's no stability here. So my left side has to work to keep the balance. So that's why that side is going to be a little stiffer and more tense than the right side. And vice versa. If I sleep on the right, if I sleep on my left, then the right side is going to be more tense. That's why ideally with a medium sized pillow, ideally sleeping on your back with a medium sized pillow is the best sleeping position. But I'm still working on that one myself. Okay, bring those feet in again and out. You can bring your head down a little bit here if you want to, not too much. And up, kick the legs out. Okay, now we are gonna stand up here, mostly because I wanna go and check the camera really quick, just because I wanna make sure I'm still recording. So, quick break. And we're back, we're good. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the actual hard stretching. So now that we've kind of gotten everything warmed up, and it's okay to loosen up in between your stretches as you're doing your stretching routine. So what I mean by that is, after you just did some hard stretching, when we get into these here right now, if you wanna stop and kind of kick your legs out, jump a little bit, maybe do some jump rope, little knees, little kickers here, something like that. Just to, you kind of break up the routine a little bit, but you're keeping your body active, and to kind of help shake blood back around into the areas that you're stretching so that you can continue to move forward. That's totally fine. I would always, let's say in a 35-minute stretch routine, I would probably break 4 times in between there somewhere. Or real quick short breaks. I didn't, stop and go and make something to eat. Just short, quick little breaks, kick around a little bit, and then got back to my stretching. Okay, so here we go. Now we're gonna get into the hard stretching stuff here. We're gonna usually try to do this and keep it with, or when you do it later on, you can do it with me right now, but when you do it later on, do the stretches for the sake, I'm just shortening it up. We're gonna do sets of 2. You wanna do them in sets of 3, so that way you really get that muscle memory and you're elongating those muscle fibers. For the sake of the video right now, I'm just gonna do 2 sets on each one of these stretches. Okay, so here we go. Separate the feet, and I'm gonna lean forward. Grab both ankles, pull my head down a little bit. Again, in, breathe in the nose. Out. Stretch to my left foot. Then over to my right. Down to the middle. Over to the left again. Then to your right. Down to the middle. Squat and bend those knees in. Now in this position here, I'm at what's called a double shoulder width stance. You don't want to be any more than that, and you kind of don't want to be much less than that. Double shoulder width means the width of my shoulders, and then I double it. So 1, 2. That's about how far apart you put your feet, right? Anything more than that, you're getting into the muscle groups that we haven't worked up to those ones yet. So you're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Again, if you're super flexible, that's fine. You probably can do that. But for the majority of us, we're working on it, all right? So it's important that we keep our stance and our leg positions proper. Okay, here we go. Over to the left. Long lunge stretch here. Make sure the body's up straight. And relax. What you want to feel is a stretch right in here. Might even feel a little bit up in your abs. Keep the body up straight. A lot of mistakes people make is they're leaning forward like this. Now, the more narrow in line I can keep my feet, the better. But if I'm having a hard time with balance or just off balance that day, I can widen it up a little bit and help me maintain my balance a little better. But the more narrow you can get it, the better. But you don't want it in line, like I'm on a balance beam. I don't want that. Okay, and straighten it back up. Inhale and down. Now, anytime you're stretching a muscle group, one area of your body, you want to try to tighten and stiffen the opposing area. So right here, I'm stretching this, so I want to tighten up my glute. So I squeeze that, and I hold this tight the whole time of the stretch. And in order for me to do that, I kind of tense up my quads and the glute here just to make it easier for me to tighten that up. Okay, now to the other side. That was 2 reps. Okay, and stretch. Get this nice and long as you can get it. Squeeze, squeeze, tighten it, firm it up, and relax. And back down. Always make sure you're picking that heel up here. And back to the other side. Now this time I'm going to do it and keep my foot sideways. A little bit longer. I want to stretch in a little different area in my thigh here, which is more in the groin area. And back the other way. And I go back the other way, keeping the foot sideways. And switch it again. See, I'm already, from the tensing of my legs and hold my weight, my legs are already getting tired. Feeling that like as if I was doing squats. You should be kind of feeling that too a little bit. If not, tighten your legs up a little bit more. That's going to help you benefit for the flexation for building elongated muscles. And up to the center. So we did 2 reps on each side. Now I could have done the same side 2 times in a row and then switched it. I'm just mixing it up a little bit here. Again, because I went through this whole routine earlier. Okay, now down and put that knee down. Body's up straight, and I just tighten that glute up again. I want to tighten up and stretch right here. Kind of push those hips forward a little bit. Now I'm going to lean into this one. Now there is one other aspect I didn't mention, and I think we'll do a video on this one too. A third aspect of stretching, which is actually partner stretching. However, partner stretching is very, straighten it up, bring it back. It's very effective, but it can be somewhat harmful if you're not good at stretching, or you're not good at your posture and your position and technique for the stretch, and your partner is not good at applying pressure in the right areas for you. And I don't mean just in terms of you possibly getting injured or hurt, but it can become very non-beneficial and very ineffective if you and your partner don't work together well. Now I'm pulling up on the toes here, so I stretch all the way down from my Achilles up to my hamstring, top of my hamstring. Push forward again. but we will do a video with partner stretches. That should be a good one for you. And back, and I switch. And pushing forward, get that body up straight, and squeeze. I'm squeezing the glute here to stretch on that quad and hip. All right, now I'm gonna lean forward on this one. I'm kind of leaning my leg to the side, just feeling a little tension and tightness in the back of my side of my glute here, my gluteus minimus a little bit. So I want to kind of work that out before we get into the splits. And bring it back, grab the toes, pull it up. Now normally in class time we just kind of stretch down and I kind of maybe bring my head down, but ideally when you bring the weight back here in this position, you want to grab underneath that foot and pull those toes up so that you can keep a constant stretch going all the way through the whole muscle area. Calves, back of the knee, upper and lower part of your hamstring. And forward. I'm bouncing a little bit here, which is okay. I'm working in the joint, not the muscles. Back again. All right, so up to the center. Stretch down. Over to the left again. Over to the right again. As I'm doing this stretch, my aim and goal on this is chin out to the foot or nose to the shin, not my forehead to my knee. Because when I do that, I can bend my knee to cheat and it forces me to bend my neck and back, which you don't want. Remember, posture and technique, very, very important. And then down to the center, chin out. And up. And over to the left here. Get ready for your splits now. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of a dynamic move here. Not explosive, but I would say right in between static and dynamic. It's more just mobile. But what I'm kind of doing, two things here. I'm warming the legs up to get ready for that long stretch, but I'm also getting my mind ready for that because I know it's gonna hurt, right? And I don't wanna avoid the pain. I'm not trying to necessarily embrace it. I'm just trying to be ready for it. So that way I can benefit from the stretch and not make it ineffective because of the pain. Okay, here we go. One hand on each side of the body. Hana. Do, set, and back. All right, put my knee down. Still about the same amount of flexibility as I was earlier today, so nothing changed for me on that aspect. And I want to make sure that I'm keeping my body and hips straight as possible. You don't want to turn it like this. If I got both hands in front of me on one side, I lose so many areas of this actual stretch for benefit to develop the stretching, the split technique. Okay, up to the middle. Bring it down. Go back, put the knee down. I'm kind of pushing forward here a little bit, but I'm not necessarily stretching. I'm getting ready to do that split again. Okay, same side. Rock it back and forth. Again, getting the mind right. Get my breathing right. Here we go. Ready? Hana. Dual and set. And up to the middle. Squat. Now, it may not have looked like it on the camera for you guys, but I did actually on that second one feel a lot more flexible. It felt like my stretch was a little bit longer. I'm not sure how it looked though. Okay, up, pulling it down. And over to the other side. Here we go. And rocking it back and forth. Now, I am more flexible on my right leg than I am my left leg. However, my left hip is more flexible than my right hip, which is why I can stretch the American splits here a lot better on my right leg than I can my left leg, because my left hip is stronger than my right hip. You might find that same thing for you. Here we go. Han, dual, and set. It's been quite a while since I've done my splits. And I feel it. Okay, bring that back up to the middle. Bring my weight down. Squat on the knees. Push it up and up. Okay, back over to that right side. Gonna hit that stretch again. Here we go. And rocking it. Getting our body right, get that mind right. I want to really push that weight back because I want to get me a good stretch on this one. If I have to do this one again because my tablet failed on me earlier, I'm going to make it worth my stretch. Here we go. And Han, dual, and set. Bring it back. And up to the middle. Back to your double shoulder width. Grab both ankles, pulling my body down. Siri keeps thinking I'm talking to her on my watch, and I'm clearly not. Squatting down here, pushing those knees out. So now we're gonna get ready for those Chinese splits, right? Remember, keep that breathing going, in the nose, out of the mouth. Keep those muscles relaxed and up. Okay, kick those legs out a little bit. Whew, yeah, mine are sore here. Okay. Another thing that I didn't mention in the first video, but I get to mention in this one here. When I was heavily training and competing and stretching a lot and working out a lot, I would actually sip water a little bit during my stretch routine. So that way, not only am I breathing, getting oxygen in my body and blood, but I'm also oxygenating my blood cells with the water too. So that would help keep my flexibility a little bit. It's not anything magic or anything like that, but as I'm doing this, I'm losing oxygen, because I'm breathing out. So I'm putting back in, and we're burning calories and all that kind of stuff. Want to replenish a little bit back in with some water while I'm doing it. So if you have water, feel free to drink some. Just little sips here and there, not big guzzles. Okay, pushing those out. Hands on the knees. Here we go. Right shoulder, lean that one forward. Now again, remember, this is a leg stretch, not so much a back stretch. I like to reposition my hand here and turn, so I'm gonna that allows me to really be able to push my knees apart. And then I go to the other side. Left shoulder forward. Up to the center. Hands on the floor, and I'm gonna bend my right knee and keep my left leg straight. Gotta warm up this groin area here before we get into that Chinese split. And the other side. back. And one more switch. Okay, up to the center. Here we go. We're gonna move that side to side. And we're gonna go for that Chinese split. Ready? Hana, dual, set, bring it up to the middle, and net, slide them out. Don't sit. All right, bring that up. Squat again and go for our second rep. Remember, if you're gonna do this routine again later at home, add a third one in there. I'll hold the second one a little bit longer so to give you time to add a third one in. I'll tell you when to stand up and you can go for the third one. Okay, straighten it up, bring it down, keep those heels on the mat, toes up. Big inhale and exhale. Whoop, don't sit down yet, I lost my balance. Okay, go ahead, you can stand up on this one and then go for your third set. And now roll back to have a seat. Okay, so as you go ahead and sit down on this one, it's very important that you don't lose your stretch as you sit your weight back. So 2 keys there. The farther apart you can stretch, the easier it is for you to sit back without losing your stretch. The second one is, if you can sit, even if you're not that far apart, like I'm probably at maybe 145 degrees, maybe 150, as opposed to 180 all the way straight across. So I'm okay. Not where I would like to be or where I want to be. That's why we're going through this stretching here. But, you know, I'm okay. If you're less than that, maybe at 120 degrees, something like that, you're up higher. So it is going to be a lot harder for you to sit back. But just work your control. Make sure you're not going to lose that stretch as you go ahead and sit. Okay, now we're going to give the inside of the legs here a little bit of a break. Bring these legs in for a butterfly stretch. Now you want to pull these feet in as close as you can. Bounce it here. Keep the body up straight. Okay, now you're going to slide them out a little bit, and then I'm going to pull my body in down. If you can get your head all the way down to your feet, great. My back is starting to stiffen up a little bit on me, so it's going to take me a second before I can get down there. But I can do it. Determination. Okay, up. Bring those feet back in. Grab the ankles, put your elbows on the knees, and push them outward. Okay, up, bounce. Slide them out a little bit again. And I'm pulling down. Up, slide them back in, and I'm going to pull down again. This time with them closer to me. And up. Kick your legs out in front. Okay, so that's pretty much the base routine from there. I could keep going into a number of different stretches from here, but not necessary. Then it was just kind of overkill. However, I could do those other stretches after I got done with my physical workout or routine, whichever one I was doing. or I mean, if I was, you know, working out or weight training or anything like that, I could also go ahead and do those other stretches after that. So a good stretch routine would consist of 30 to 35 minutes stretching everything out in the body, right? Get into your activity and then cool down with some of the stretches again. Probably almost all those stretches again you would cool down with, but you wouldn't hold them as long. You would just kind of really go through it and do each one of them once really quick, just to maintain. And again, the reason that you wouldn't want to hold them too long or overdo it again on that stretching is because you tore all your muscle groups, all your muscle fibers in the first initial stretch. Then you worked out, which broke down your muscle fibers, which is a little bit different than tearing them. And then you're gonna go back to stretch them again. You don't wanna overdo it or pull any muscles or rip anything at that point because they're very, very weak at that point there. But you can do some really quick cool down stretches. Good stretching routine, it can be done every single day. That's a good thing about that as well. So in our next series is going to be dynamic stretching, static, I keep saying isometric. Static stretching and dynamic stretching. That's going to be stretching with movement, a little bit.